Hi, so I'm 29 years old, female, and I have a younger sister, 27 years old. Growing up, we were pretty close, but for the past couple of months, we have not been speaking to each other, and I think that's pretty much for valid reasons. Anyway, she tried reconnecting with me because she needed a place to stay, and I turned her down, and because of that, I've been feeling like a jerk and I need to know if I made the right decision or not. The situation kind of called for it, so here's basically what had happened. For context, my mom passed away 3 years ago, and it was pretty hard for us to lose her because we were all very close to her. Like she was literally the glue holding the family together. Because our dad, well, let's just say that he was not always the best father, though he always tried his hardest to be the best husband to my mom, and he really loved her. They had been together since high school and had a fairy tale love story. Unfortunately, my dad also happened to have been diagnosed with bipolar disorder when he was in college, and my mom stuck by him. But even on meds, it was hard to deal with him when he was in one of his moods. He also had a bit of a tendency to get carried away when he was drinking. And after our mom passed away, there was nobody to keep him in check. So his temper was completely out of control, and he already had a hard time dealing with anger issues, which is why he didn't have a lot of friends or family who cared for him. Both me and my sister tried to be there for him to the best of our abilities because at the end of the day, no matter how much he lashed out at us, he was a father. So we wanted to be there for him and help him out, especially because we knew that he was hurting in the aftermath of our mom passing away. And to be honest, it wasn't even as if we were expecting it. She was not sick or anything, she just had a stroke one day, and that was it. Honestly, it felt like it came out of nowhere, and it still feels like it's not real, but it is, and we all have to deal with it. And my father chose to deal with it by drinking until he was out of his mind, constantly losing his temper at me and my sister, who were only just trying to be there for him, and he wouldn't even apologize later on. He would pretend nothing had happened and expect us to go back to normal. Even then, my sister and I stayed with him so we could take care of him because he definitely needed somebody, and we were basically handling all the responsibilities that were supposed to be his. We were taking care of all the bills, keeping the refrigerator stocked. We were doing all the cooking. We were handling his business and bringing home the money. It was frustrating because even after doing all that, he was never grateful to us. He was constantly finding faults here and there. Nothing we would ever do would be perfect for him. After a while, the situation became such that he was sniping at us almost every other day. And then, about a year ago, when he was trying to pick a fight with me, I couldn't keep my temper under control and I said something just as rude to him in return as well. And that turned out to be a pretty big mistake because he totally lost it. He started yelling so loudly that the neighbors started calling to ask if everything was all right and whether they needed to call the cops or not. In the middle of the fight, he also decided to throw a hardcover book at me, which was on the coffee table, and it caught me near the eyebrow, and I got a nasty cut from it. That was my last straw after that. I decided I couldn't do this anymore. I decided to leave. I told him he needed to check into therapy or rehab or whatever it was that he needed to feel like a real person again, but I couldn't do this anymore. Not at personal risk. My sister was not happy about it, even though I told her that I would be more than okay with her coming along with me if that's what she wanted. But she said no, and I wish I could say that it was out of love for our father, but that was not really the case. Because even when we were living together with him, she would often sneak off and not take her responsibilities very seriously. For her, it wasn't that serious, but for me, I was trying my best. I was going above and beyond to keep everything going smoothly, to hold everything together like my mother had. But I couldn't do it anymore. And at some point, I decided to choose myself. So I left. My sister had never liked my dad much. That much I was aware of, because when he was in one of his moods, she would start muttering the most horrible things about him. And she would tell me that she wished it was he who had passed instead of our mom, because he was horrible to live with, and all she wanted to do was leave. So I had given her an out, and it wasn't as if she would have to worry about her dad, because I told her that if we started working elsewhere, we could pull our money and find a way for him to be taken care of. As it is, the business was not doing well, so we could just pursue different careers and that would probably pay better. So we could rent out a flat nearby, enough to keep an eye on him, but not have to live with him constantly. We could send him to rehab and get him therapy or whatever, and we could find a caregiver for him, somebody more professional, somebody who knew what they were doing. It was not a bad plan, according to me, because this way at least we could make something of ourselves instead of rotting away at home. But she did not like that idea. She told me that she was not going to abandon her father like I was doing. And she told me I had no sense of what family meant if I thought that this was going to be an acceptable proposition. Her reaction shocked me a little, because I hadn't seen that coming. I thought she would be glad to leave because she was always talking about it. I also reminded her that it was easy for her to say that, because in reality, even though we were supposed to have equal responsibilities, we didn't actually live up to those expectations, because most of the time I was the one doing all the work. I was the one picking up her slack. I was the one picking up our dad's slack. So she probably didn't even notice, but it was natural for me to get tired, and it wasn't fair for her to hold it against me that I wanted to make something of myself. In fact, it was going to help me take better care of our father, so what was wrong with it? Anyway, we had a big fight, and later on I found out from our cousin, my dad's sister's daughter, who's very close to both of us, that I was way too sensitive for wanting to cut up my father for something so small, and that I need to show more family loyalty. On top of that, I also found out the real reason why she did not want to leave. Because apparently my father is allowing her to stay in the same house for a very nominal amount of rent. And yes, let me tell you guys this, that in spite of the fact that we were staying with him to take care of him, he was quite bent on the fact that he would require us to pay rent. We tried to talk him out of it, but he was adamant on it, saying that we were adults and that we needed to pick up our slack. It was a bit stupid, actually, and we did not have the option of not paying it, because at the end of the day, we were handling his store, and at the end of the month, even though he would not care about the finances throughout, he would check everything and pay us our salaries and deduct the rent from it directly. So that was another reason why I wanted to leave, because as it is, since business was not doing that well, we were not getting paid that well, and on top of that, he was deducting the rent from it too. It was a miserable life, and I left. And I have no regrets about it. My sister obviously didn't mind it, because things were easier for her. And the fact that she had to pay very nominal rent after I left, because my dad needed somebody to stay back and take care of him, and he knew that he needed to provide incentive for it. So my sister would remain with him. That helped too. Anyway, since then, I've not really spoken with them, especially after I hired a nurse to take care of my father. And later on, she told me that she tried to reach out to my sister, but she was turned away very rudely by my dad when she got to their house. So after that, I didn't try to do anything for them, because clearly they're doing better without me on their own. And anyway, my life has improved significantly since I left. I have a new job, new apartment. I'm doing well for myself. I finally feel like I can breathe. I have some sort of freedom. I'm not constantly walking on eggshells in my own house anymore. Things were going well until a couple of days ago when my sister decided to show up in my life once again. She came to my door with all her stuff, and when I saw her outside, I was obviously very surprised because she hadn't bothered to contact me at all ever since I had left. It did not seem like she had missed me at all from the way she'd been behaving, so I didn't know what this was about. And she had shown up smiling and everything, with all her things, so naturally I was very confused. Anyway, she gave me a hug and everything, and then she went inside without waiting for me to invite her into my apartment. I couldn't even say anything because I was kind of shocked and I was still processing things. But then once she was inside, I pulled myself together and I started asking all the hard questions because no matter how much she pretended that everything was normal, it really was not. And I needed answers. So without caring about whether I would come off as somebody very rude or not, I asked her straight away what had happened to bring her to my house like this, and how she had even managed to find me because I didn't remember telling her where I was going. Then she got serious instead of smiling, and she started telling me that after I left, things only got worse for her at that house, and she started regretting the fact that she hadn't left with me. Apparently, our father's alcohol problem got even worse, and he would constantly scream and shout at her for the smallest of things, just like he was doing with me. And basically, because she had to take over my responsibilities along with her own, she started to realize that things were only going to get more difficult from now on. But still, she stayed on because, according to her, she did not want to abandon him. But I knew the reality. She only stayed because she barely had to pay any rent, and it was easy for her to take her part of the salary for keeping his business running and ignore everything else. My sister had never been particularly ambitious, so for her, as long as she had a little money to hang out with her friends sometimes and occasionally splurge on herself, she was good. And that was the situation. But I guess things changed. She told me that a few days back, before she had left, her father had reminded her that she needed to pay him rent. Apparently, after I had left, our father had stopped checking the finances altogether and would only tell my sister at the end of every month to make sure that everything was in order. She told me that she had been doing all of that diligently, including deducting her own rent from the salary that she received, even though both of them are quite measly amounts. Anyway, then she told me that this month she did not deduct the rent from her salary because she had to go on a trip later this month with her friends, something that had been in the works for quite a while. She did not bother to tell her father about it because, as it is, she was handling everything, so she did not see the point of having to tell him. She claimed that she was just going to deduct twice the amount next month and make it even. But unfortunately, this month, my father decided to check everything and he realized that she had not paid rent and he totally lost it. He yelled at her and said a lot of horrible things about her as a human being. He said that she was a thief, that he was not going to tolerate this kind of thing, and that he could do without her as well. She tried to explain it to him, but he was just not ready to hear it, and eventually he kicked her out. Quite unceremoniously. He did not even allow her to take her things, but later today, when she came back home after crashing at a friend's place, he finally opened the door and told her to take everything she needed and get lost and never come back. Then she told me that that was why she had decided that she did not want to stay with him anymore. She couldn't, and that she wanted to start a new life just like me. All she needed me to do was let her stay with me for a couple of months until she was able to get on her feet and afford a place of her own, because she barely had any savings to rely on. And she looked quite hopeful, but I found something very weird about the story that she was trying to tell me. And I told her that as much as I would like to let her stay with me, I couldn't do that right now because unfortunately, even I was just getting started with my life and I couldn't afford to take care of myself and her on my own. Not right now, anyway. I told her that she would be better off staying with a friend who could let her crash on their couch until she was able to find something, and I couldn't help her. The truth was, I was just really upset with her, and I found this whole situation very shady, so I didn't want anything to do with her at the moment. And she was obviously not happy about it, so she started telling me I was being ridiculous. And once again, she accused me of not having any loyalty towards family and that she wasn't asking me for much, so she really couldn't believe that I was turning her away like this, her own biological sister. She started crying, telling me that if even I was not willing to help her, then why would any friend do anything for her? And maybe she has a point, but I don't know. I don't want to get involved in any of this, and I have enough on my plate as it is. Obviously, I'm grateful for the fact that I have a new job and my own apartment, but my apartment is pretty small and I'm always very tired, and I cannot afford to pick up the slack for my sister right now. After everything that's happened, I just don't know if I can trust her. I don't want her to turn into a freeloader who stays with me indefinitely, and I can totally see that happening. I don't know if I'm a bad person for nipping this in the bud or not, but I sure do feel bad about it because that night when she left, she was crying and she was very upset, and I didn't want to make anybody feel that way. But at the same time, I feel like it's important for me to prioritize myself as well. I don't know. I feel very conflicted. Am I the bad guy here? AITA for not wanting to let my sister stay with me until she's able to get on her feet? Update 1. Hi, thank you to everybody who commented on my post and let me know that I'm not in the wrong here. It really means a lot to me, especially given how I've been feeling about everything that has happened. I've spoken to at least 10 of my friends about all this, explained the whole situation to them just to make sure that I'm not in the wrong here. And most of them have said that I did the right thing for myself and I don't need to feel bad about it. But they have told me that if I do want to keep a relationship with my sister in future, they would definitely recommend at least speaking to her about this and trying to sort it out. And well, I guess I do want her in my life in the future, eventually, so I guess I don't want to let this fester and get worse. Honestly speaking, I don't know how I'm going to go about this because I feel like the last interaction that we had did not go well at all, and I'm not sure that she's going to be receptive to my attempts to get back in touch with her or whatever. In fact, I don't even know where she is. I know I told her to stay with a friend, but her friends are not very close to me, so I don't think that they will reveal her location to me. My only good chance of getting to know where she is to talk to my cousin because I'm pretty sure that she's the one who told my sister about my address, even though I've not confirmed it. But I can't think of anybody else who would do it, so I guess it has to be her. I just hope she does me a favor here as well and tells me where she is. So, yes, long story short, I'm going to try and get back in touch with my sister, and I hope that we can at least talk things out, or at least just talk, even if we're not able to sort things out immediately. I just really hope that it goes well. Update 2. Okay, so I spoke to my cousin and she confessed to me that she was the one who had told my sister about my address because my sister has been begging for it. She was in a very tight spot and couldn't say no. After that, she didn't tell me about it because she thought that I was going to be mad at her. And she was right. I was mad at her for a bit, but then I needed her help, so I told her not to think about it too much. And honestly, I love her, but she can be a bit tactless at times. But she is a good soul and she doesn't mean any harm, so I forgave her. And anyway, she told me where my sister's staying, and she also told me that after I rejected her and told her that she couldn't stay with me, my sister was livid. Not just upset, not just crying, but livid. And interestingly, she gave a very different account of what had actually happened at my house to my cousin. And that was another reason why my cousin did not contact me in the past couple of days. Apparently, she told my cousin that when she tried to talk to me, I shut the door in her face. When she tried to talk me into at least opening the door and hearing her out, I told her to get lost and never show up again because I was happy enough without her, and claimed that I said that I did not need her, bringing her down, and that there was going to be no more free handouts, and that we were nobody to each other, which is just weird because I don't remember any of that happening. Yes, I definitely did not accept her request, but I don't think I was that cruel, so I don't understand what event led her to fabricate something like this. Anyway, that was part of the reason why my cousin did not contact me, because she thought that that had actually happened, even though she did think that it was a bit out of character for me. But again, she hasn't seen us both in a while. So she thought that maybe that's exactly what went down, and that's why she did not want to mess with me right now, because clearly I was in a very foul mood. So anyway, I spoke to her and I got where my sister is staying, but right now I'm not sure if I want to contact her or not, because after what I heard from my cousin, I'm not sure if it would be the right thing to do, because if she is lying to people about what I did and what happened, then I don't think she will be very receptive to me trying to get in touch with her, especially if it's not me trying to talk to her with the sole objective of bringing her to live with me. So yeah, I don't know if it's a good idea anymore or not, but I'm going to give it some thought. And in a couple of days, I'm going to make a decision. It's disappointing for sure, that I have to acknowledge, because I didn't think that she would lie about me like this so maliciously. And nobody can convince me that this was not done out of spite, because she knows exactly what happened. There was no way that she could have made a mistake and come up with something like this. This is definitely a story she cooked up to make me look bad. There was no mistake about it. And that's what is the most disappointing part. I felt like I had been totally rational and reasonable. But if she's going to act like this, I don't know if I want her back in my life or not. Because this is not a very mature way of going about things. And I don't need this kind of drama in my life, to be very honest. I'm in a good place right now. I don't need to go looking for trouble now. Update 3. So, like I had said, I decided not to talk to my sister. At least I decided not to reach out to her first. In case she wanted to talk to me, I knew that I was going to respond to her and confront her about what I had found out. But other than that, I had no plans of reaching out. And that's exactly what happened, because a few hours back, she was the one who reached out to me. She had blocked me earlier, so she had to unblock me to talk to me. And I thought that was quite funny, because the only thing she said to me was that she had found a place and she was living with a friend of hers, and she found it crazy that somebody who was not even related to her biologically was willing to help her out, given her situation. But her own biological sister had turned her back on her. It was the same taunt that she had used against me when I rejected her. So I didn't hurt that much, and in fact I didn't hurt at all, because I knew that she had lied about me. So I guess we could call it even. Anyway, she sent me a bunch of photos of the place that she was staying at. Said that she was glad I turned her away, because now she was living in a better apartment with someone who actually cared for her, and not in the dump that I called home. I did not address any of that, because I didn't think it was necessary to dignify any of that with the response. But I did tell her that I had spoken to our cousin, and I knew that she had lied to her about what I had actually said back when she had approached me. So now I really don't have any regrets about turning her away, because clearly she is the problem here, not me. I told her that I wish her all the best, but other than that, I would appreciate it if she did not contact me in future, especially for petty behavior like this. I told her to grow up and do something worthwhile, instead of wasting her time and energy trying to get back at me and get under my skin, or whatever it is that she was trying to do, because I'm content with my life and these things don't affect me. Then I ended up blocking her, and I'm pretty happy about what I said. I got that weight off my chest, so I feel slightly better now. Update 4. So it's been a month and a half since my previous update, and I recently found out something very interesting about my sister. And in hindsight, I'm pretty glad I did not help her. I know it sounds bad, but trust me, I did the right thing because I found out from my cousin, who has also cut off my sister, by the way, that the real reason she got kicked out by my father was because she was stealing from him. She was not happy with the insignificant money that she got from working at the store, so she started skimming money off, and obviously at one point my dad did notice, and when he confronted her about this, she flat out denied it and tried to blame it on me. But I was not even working there anymore. Neither had I spoken to my dad in quite a long time, so he did not buy it. They had a huge fight, and that's how she got kicked out. But of course, she did not tell me the truth. And the only reason I found out was because my aunt, my cousin's mother, spoke to my dad about whatever was going on with the two of us to try and get him to reach out to us. And he said that he would be willing to reach out to me because he knew that he had done wrong by me. But regarding my younger sister, she would have to ask for forgiveness first because what she had done was really unacceptable. And that's how the truth of what my sister had done and how she got kicked out came out. And that's why nobody's speaking to her anymore. Anyway, my dad has reached out to me through my aunt because he doesn't have a phone and he doesn't know where I live yet. And he asked my aunt to pass on the message that he would really like to see me and talk to me. I'm considering it, but I would like to work things out with him. I guess I'll meet him for dinner on the weekend and see how it goes. I don't know. I'm in no rush. Stay tuned for more stories from our girl relationships.